quiero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. O valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Good evening. Welcome to episode 20. We'll continue Benfica podcast. We got Bill with us today. We got Kenny, and we got a debut for Mr. Mello. How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
How's the West Coast?
It's cool, man. West Coast is cool. I'm still short, so that's how cool we are.
All right. Oscar's got visitors, so he can't join us today, and Jason's feeling a little under the weather, but we got a good crew here to talk about some Benfica and see what we thought of 2020 and today's game, of course. Topics for today. Finished the year with a win. We started 2020 with a win against Guimarães, January 4th. We finished the year with a win. We won that Guimarães game 1-0 away. This was 2-1 at home, so we won by the minimum margin. I will talk about that. Still unable to put it all together. 30 minutes maybe that were probably 30 best minutes we've seen this season so far, and then kind of tapered off, and at the end it was a bit nervy. We'll look back at the calendar year 2020, which looking at the numbers wasn't flattering. And looking ahead to 2021, what do we expect for the rest of the season? Not just from the team, from the club, from the manager. Hopefully there's fans before the end of the season, so we'll touch on that. So we'll start with today's game. Jason's watching us in the comments. He said he's here. Alex, you'll be able to go first since you're our visitor. Today's game, we at home against Portimonense. A game that started well. Lineups, we started with Audi, Grimaldo, Vertonghen, Otamendi, Gilberto, Rafa, Tarat, Feigl, Everton, Darwin, Waldschmidt. 30 minutes that I think we started great. Pressured, movement was great off the ball, on the ball, moved the ball quickly, transitions, we were quick, created a lot of problems, could have scored maybe a few more goals early on, and then kind of died down in the second half, concede a goal, and then, we're holding on for dear life, hoping that, they don't grab that second goal. So I'll ask you for what was your thought of the game as the performance as a whole? And I'll ask you a question with it as well. What is the deal with Rafa? I feel like it's an all or nothing with him. First 30 minutes, he was amazing. After that, the whole team wasn't great in the second half, but then he just disappeared. Against Porto in the Supertaça, similar. He didn't show up. I think if he had an opening 15 minutes in the Supertaça like he had today in the first 30 minutes, we probably blow that game out of the water early on with the chances that we had. But he was on the end of them and wasn't able to do anything with them. So, again, thoughts on Rafa and 0 or 100, and your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, I'll start with today's game. Like you said, the first 30 minutes of the match was you said it was our best 30 minutes, but I've seen stretches of 20, 25 minutes of football like Benfica played today, which kind of leads me to believe that, there's something there. JJ's doing something there. It looks like JJ ball. A lot of passes, a lot of running forward. Rafa being, dangerous. I think he's our most dangerous player, and I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit. But yeah, we started off great. Rafa runs forward, gets that early goal in the 13th minute, just lays it on the platter for Darwin, which kind of seems to be the type of pass that Darwin needs right now to score goals, because he seems a little gun shy. And I'm sure we'll touch on that a little bit more. Then Rafa again, you get the a couple rebounds, a couple deflections inside the box. Rafa comes up with another goal. You go up 2-0. Now from here, Benfica seems content to kind of just sit back, not play with the ball, not even try to really kind of stop Portimonense's kind of attack, if that's what you want to call it. That first half, if you go look at it, our possession, we were leading in possession. I want to say 54, something like that. Our possession was. And then you go to the end of the game, and we completely lost possession. The possession was 54-46. So they completely dominated the second half. But going back to that first half a little bit, like I said, Rafa was the player of that first half for sure. But to be content in letting Portimonense play with so much of the ball, and our biggest weakness for Benfica to me this season has been on the defense side of the ball. So you don't have a true 8. You don't have, your center backs are aging and they don't play well one-on-one. They don't play well in the air either. It seems like, right? So I don't understand the mentality in which, JJ, I don't know what he did what he says at the second half, but I don't think it's a JJ thing sometimes. I think this is something we've seen a lot of Benfica over the last couple seasons of a first half team. They're just a first half team. They'll play they'll murder anybody in the first half of any game. We'll play great against any team in the world. I don't care who it is. The first half, Benfica's going to be in it. Then that second half, I don't know what it is, whether it's motivation or leadership. I think it's a lack of leadership, really. And like I said, I was just on my show, Benfica After 90, and I was saying that, like, there has to be a guy when, play is faltering off a little bit. You don't see the players, or I don't know if I can say they're not trying, but there's no spark there. There's nobody vocal. The only person you hear during the match is JJ screaming his fucking head off. Screaming his head off.
Right. You can swear. You just can't drop C-bombs.
All right. Fair. That's fair. So you don't hear anybody vocal. There's no vocal leadership on the team. And I think that's what Benfica was missing today during a stretch in that game where there was nobody to pick it up. Weigl was doing all he can, to clean up the mess, but Trapp's just not a defensive player. And he's not good in defensive position. So when he wins the ball, he doesn't know how to get the ball forward. And when he does get the ball forward, it's a turnover, right? So now you're turning it over deep in your own half of the box. And it creates a corner, which really results into a goal. But the game as a whole is kind of like same old Benfica. And I know we're going to talk about 2020 in a whole, but this is what I've come to expect. We make these games a lot harder on ourselves. We drag them out. We let Portimonense, who is 1-4. They're 1-4 in their last 5. They're 1-4 in their last 5. They lost 1-0 to Guimarães, 1-0 to Lieda. They lost to Lieda, bro. They lost 3-1 to Porto and Tondela, 1-0. They beat Marítimo. That was 5 matches ago. This is a team who's lost 4 in a row. You lost 4 in a row. We let them come into our house and play with so much of the ball. I think it's inexcusable. I don't want to. We'll talk about it later on with JJ, but I think there needs to be a little bit more leadership there on the pitch, man. Something's missing. A vocal leader, somebody with some balls, if you will. There's nobody with any balls. It's a lot of
I agree, because if you look back historically with JJ when he was here the first time, we never relaxed with a 2-goal lead. It was Chapa Cinco, like keep going, 5, 6, 7, just keep scoring. That's what his philosophy was. And then you look at this game, 2-goal lead, and it literally looks like they just turned off. 2-goal lead, they're like, all right, we got the win in the bag. Let's just coast the rest of the time and get home. And I agree. I think that's leadership on the field and not from the manager.
You can't expect Luis Allen to come out and yell at everybody every game. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not his job anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm. But before we go to Kenny's analysis, I guess I'll pick up off that question or that statement you make, which is valid. When we talk about leadership, right? When we look at that team on the field, I mean, there's plenty of guys there that are experienced, right? Experience and leadership are 2 very different things, right? We need to differentiate that. There's 2 different things. Just because you're a good player or you've been around for a while doesn't mean you're a good leader or that the team looks up to you. But, I mean, you look at just the 2 center backs, Otamendi, Vertonghen, 2 guys that have been around for a while. Belgian captain, Argentinian captain Manchester City, right? These guys, it's not like they're new to this, right? They've felt pressure. They've been against the ropes. Kenny, I guess what are your thoughts on that? I know that you were shaking your head. Do you agree with the lack of leadership? Do you think that's one of our issues?
Oh yeah, ever since Louis left the team, we've been lacking a true leader on the team, and it doesn't help that Pizzi's not there. I think he's probably the guy who kind of commands some respect in the locker room. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, Otamendi, Vertonghen, they're veterans. You would think they're leaders, but they're new to the team. A lot of these guys, if there's anyone on the team that I think could command something, Samadi's, I think should earn that respect, but he doesn't get on the field. So it's tough to do anything if you're barely getting any playing time. But yeah, I think there's a big identity crisis with Benfica at this season. Huge. I mean, stemming from last season, but definitely this season.
I think at the beginning of the year, you saw Ruben Diaz trying to be that leader, and I mean, I think he just naturally has it, because I've seen videos when he was on the B team of that guy in the locker room, and you could tell like he feels Benfica, he like knows what it means, and he is a natural born leader, and you could see glimpses of that. And when he left, I think that's when things kind of got a little shaky.
Yeah,
Kenny, in terms of the game, I guess what were your thoughts on the game? And then I'll ask you this question because I know that you were talking about it in our chat. Thought on the game, and then Darwin scored. Georges said after the match that he hasn't practiced all week. He had some sort of knock or some illness, and so he hasn't practiced all week. He scored, but he still looks very shot for confidence. He had a play there where he gets in behind the defender. He could just tight angle, but just pull the trigger, right? You're a striker. You're meant to score goals, and he tries to make a pass that gets picked off. Against Porto, he tried to take shot. Today, actually, he had a shot with a worse angle in the first half that it went way over the net when he could have crossed it, right? So he seems very undecided, lacking confidence. Should I shoot? Should I not? So
he's pressing.
In addition to that, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, so he's clearly pressing. I mean, he wants to score. He knows that he needs to score. He's got the pressures on him. The price tag is a heavy thing on his back, and you can see it. I mean, he can't. Like I mentioned it earlier. Like he's got clown shoes. He literally cannot put together a one touch to the side and shoot. Like, and when he does, it's like in the stands. It's just bad to see. I'm a big fan of his. I'm like, I believe that he's going to turn it around. It's just tough to see right now because you can see him, even Waldschmidt. He's pressing too. These are two forwards. They know that they're not scoring. Waldo was trying to take some shots today that weren't going his way either. They're feeling the pressure, and it's frustrating to see. In regards to the game, yeah, I mean, it was a tale of two halves. First 30 minutes, we were pressing, we were on top of them. Darwin missed an early chance. It was a left. I think he got set up too. It was like a one-time lefty shot. He missed it, or he completely whiffed.
Mishit it. Yep.
Yeah. So I think it was a game that could have been 3-4-0 if we had finished our chances. Darwin again hit the post in the second half. It could have been 3-4-0. We didn't. We made it more difficult for ourselves. And
not nothing. Not nothing.
Well,
we figured how to give one up.
Well, yeah, we did. That's right. And I think as a team, we just, I don't know if JJ was trying to sit on the 2-0, but as a team, we just can't defend. We're not good at not defensively. We're not good, and as a whole, we're not good defending. And so we can't hold the results.
Just quickly to interject there, when you say that, JJ said after the game that this team lacks confidence without the ball and defending, which I think is very interesting to hear from the manager.
Well, he's
accurate.
It's accurate. And if he's saying that, he knows the troubles that he has in that midfield. So I agree. I think as a whole, we can't hold results. We when's the last time we even had a clean sheet? I mean, we're conceding a goal every game. It's awful to see.
Gil Vicente was the last clean sheet.
But
apart from that, right? Or last weekend. Sunday.
Yeah.
But the thing is
still.
that right? He says we lack confidence defending, which is clear, but we have the players to guide us with confidence, right? We have guys that have been around for a while. The thing is that just like wins bring confidence, playing well or not, clean sheets bring confidence for the defenders as well, right? And they're few and far between, which doesn't help the case, right? Like if you can see that, like this game today, right? Like for the most part, I would say we looked in control, right? Up until their goal, I never feared that we were going to throw it away, right? As soon as they scored the goal, I'm like, shit. Here we go again. Like 5 minutes stoppage time. They're going to get a lucky bounce. Benfica's going to concede in the last minute, and they're going to tie the game, right? But up until then, I never felt that it was any risk of us even throwing that game away, let alone conceding one. But then as the team as a whole, especially the defenders, you concede that one goal, and it's like, fuck, again, right? Like, again, we concede a damn goal.
And how similar does that goal look? I mean, I think we've gotten scored like that from across from that side of the field with a defender mistiming their jump or out of position. We've seen that multiple times. That's typically how they score. So yeah, I think
similar play.
I feel like I've seen that similar play getting scored on like every other game. So yeah, I mean, the other thing I was going to touch on is clearly, and I know we're missing a lot of players, but even in the second half when JJ needs to make a sub, we don't have many options off the bench. I mean, you just look at who. I mean, Pedro came in, didn't do anything. You got Servi coming in. Like you just don't have options off the bench. So even if you want to hold the result or try to change something up, it's very difficult with the squad that we have. And you add now the players that are on the COVID reserve or whatever.
What is Jesus' love affair with Tavares? Like, why does he feel the need to bring him in?
Well, Grimaldo,
at that point of the game,
Grimaldo hadn't practiced all week. He said he had a knock as well, and he expected to take him off.
So what? So real quick, I'm sorry. Darwin has a knock.
No, you're fine.
Doesn't play all week. He has a knock.
Yeah.
Grimaldo has a knock. Doesn't practice. I'm sorry. Doesn't practice all week. Darwin plays. Doesn't practice. Has a knock. Doesn't practice all week, and they both start the game. Like I don't understand this.
And Darwin plays 90.
And Darwin plays 90. Yeah. So like real quick on the substitutions, I can get behind the first one. I like Pedro. I think there's something there. I think he should maybe even get a start over Wally one day just to see what he looks like back there behind Darwin. I mean, that's just me. But 60 minutes, that comes at the 60th minute of the match. By the 60th minute, we've already lost the possession battle, right? Well, Portimonense already has the ball. They're already playing with the ball. So your first substitution is to take out Walschmidt and put Pedro in, and you wait till the 94th minute to put Samaris in. And take out Tarab. It's mismanaged game. He's mismanaging the game, to me, in my opinion. If you were gonna sit back, like, and you mentioned it earlier, if you're gonna sit back like that, somebody should have came in at the 60th minute.
I agree.
For Tarab.
Yep.
Right. Instead of Pedro, who didn't offer anything anyway, because at that point you stopped going forward.
Yeah.
Right. You stopped moving forward. So what does an extra cam? What does a cam? Or a center forward? What is that going to do for you? Nothing. And then, like you said, you bring Nuno Tavares in for Everton. You substitute Grimaldo for Servi. You don't even substitute Grimaldo for Nuno Tavares, right? So you do bring in Nuno Tavares, but you don't even put him at left back. And then you bring in Servi for that, and then Nuno Tavares comes in for Everton, and then you make the swap. It's JJ. He's too experimental. He's sometimes like I wish he would stop trying all these weird. This isn't 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you don't have the players that you had 10 years ago when you were with Benfica. I don't think you can afford these types of this type of mismanagement in the game. I mean, yes, against Portimonense, fine. We didn't win because he managed us to a victory. We won because we just have better players than Portimonense, plain and simple.
Bill, what's your thought on and we'll touch on Jorge Jesus shortly after, but Bill, what's your thought on the game, the performance as a whole? And then my question to you will be, has Feigl convinced over the course of the last 3-4 games, or he started to get some regular play. He's not coming off at halftime anymore. I know that there's still a hole there in the midfield that JJ is trying to find. I think anyone who's playing in that 6 role, whether it's Feigl, whether it's Amaris, whether it's Gabriel, they're going to get exposed because we don't have another guy that plays alongside him or in front of him that's going to work to allow that number 6 to anticipate, to occupy space, right? Because while he'll go and occupy space wide, he gets exposed central because that other guy isn't compensating for his movements. So thoughts on Feigl over the course of the last couple of games that he's playing regularly, and then your analysis and thoughts of the game.
To touch on Feigl first, to me, he convinced me last year. I like the way he plays. I think he fits in nicely there. I think they need another center midfielder that kind of complements him. Right now, we don't have that. Tarap today isn't that. Peasy there with him doesn't do it. Like you need it, like a number 8. He's not. I don't think Feigl's a true trinco, a number 6, but he's not a number 8. He's kind of like a hybrid, if you will, of the two positions. So we need someone else there to kind of complement them. But I think these last 3 or 4 games, I've kind of shown that he is a good player, and given the opportunity, he can perform well. I thought today he was unbelievable in that spot.
I thought he was good against Porto too.
Yeah,
he played very well against Porto. And the game, it sums up our season perfectly. Glimpses of great play and then conceding stupid goals. Like it's just, we've been saying it all along. Like we just continue to concede dumb goals that we probably shouldn't be. And there's glimpses of great play going forward. It's frustrating to watch that first 30 minutes and then see how we played the rest of the game. Because that first 30 minutes, I thought we were going to score 5 or 6. I saw the first 2 go in, and I go, okay, it's Jorge Jesus of old, Chapa Cinco, move on. And we end up 2-1. And it's frustrating to see. I don't know how we fix it because there's some holes there. I don't know.
What do you guys think? And I'll open it up to whoever wants to jump in first. What do you guys think is the reason for that breakdown? Is it the fitness, right? Because the way that we played in that first 30 minutes, right? We were pressing, transitions were quick, right? We were all over them. We were pressuring the guy with the ball coming out of the back, right? We were playing a high line. We weren't giving them much space. They couldn't even get out of their half, right? And then all of a sudden we scored 2 goals, and it's like, is it the coach's orders? Is it the players who get too comfortable? What do you guys think is the issue that's creating this, right? Because the players don't just turn it, like, why do they just turn it off, right? Like, you just did it for 30 minutes, and then you stop doing it. Like, what the hell is causing it to just all of a sudden stop? It's like 0 or 100, right? You're not going to get anything in between, right? We're either going to suffocate the shit out of you in your half, or we're going to just hang out and let you guys come at us, and hopefully we'll get one in transition. And if we don't, we'll just kind of see out the game, and hopefully we get 3 points.
Well, I'll start off with this, right? So there's definitely a lack of motivation there, and I don't know. And I think it's typical to see a team start off hot, right, pressing high. The tempo kind of slows down at some point in the game, and then they can pick it back up. A lot of that, to me, I think has to do with having a crowd there, right? I think not having a crowd has been a big factor in Benfica's motivation to kind of take care of games at the end when they need to. But we've touched on it. Lack of leadership. I think the motivation isn't there, and players just turning it off. Like I feel like we said it. You guys talked about it earlier. Rafa, I think, just turns it on, turns it off whenever he wants. Everton's another one that kind of slows down the game. He just doesn't. There was so much fanfare with the Everton signing. I haven't really. I mean, he scored a few goals, yeah, but he doesn't have that flair, that Brazilian flair that you're used to, right? I don't know if he's playing in the wrong position. I don't think he's a winger. Like, he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't take many players on. He's he gets the ball down there. He makes a sprint. He gets caught up and he slows down the ball, passes it back. I just don't see that effort pushing forward. And I don't know. I think it's a combination of many things as to why the tempo of the game's kind of slowed down. And we feel confident. Like today's game, I feel like they just thought they had it. They were done with it, and they kind of just sat back and kind of waited for the time to expire. Whereas if, for me, if there was a fan base there, if there were fans pushing them along, I feel like they would pick up their tempo, or at least for a little bit. Like they didn't even try to that second half. Like there was no time ever that I thought that they were going to get another one.
Mello, what are your thoughts on why we can't put it together?
Really quick, I just want to touch on the fans thing. I think it's funny. I thought while you were saying that, it's funny that Sporting need no fans to be in first place, but Benfica need all the fans to, not to be, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's better for them to have no fans, but Benfica need the fans. It's such a weird.
It's almost. But you think about it, it's probably
weird.
better for Sporting because they've been under so much pressure, right? Yeah. Where it's like, fuck that, the fans don't pressure us now. We just play. Right, whereas Benfica's the other way around. Yeah. Right, we need that push, that 12th man or female.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play if I heard, my fans bitching and moaning for 90 minutes everywhere either. But anyways, I just thought that's pretty funny. Yeah. It's hard to say, bro. It really is hard to say what's wrong. I think a lot of it, and I have to go back to just game management. Really, it's just game management. In my mind, you make a substitution for a spark. I need to stop this, right? I need to stop the bleeding. I need to put a person here. He hasn't done that. Like he doesn't do that. He put, like I said, he substituted Grimaldo today for Servi. That's not stopping the bleeding. That doesn't create a spark, or it doesn't change where you're lacking. You're supposed to be smart with these substitutions, right? You have 5 of them, right? We still have 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You have 5 substitutions. Like at some point, he has to be better with them. Game management. I've said it on Benfica after 90. George, he hasn't. I'm gonna call him George because that's his name. George. He hasn't coached Benfica. I haven't watched one match this season. And I watched every single match. I haven't missed a fucking match, not even Europa League matches. I haven't watched one match where JJ coached Benfica into a goal. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Where It wasn't what the players were doing, is what JJ did. Okay, I'm going to bring you in. And then he does the JJ crisscross, the fingers that he does all the time, right? And then you go in, and then you fucking score this miraculous goal because JJ put you in the right position. I haven't seen that from JJ, which it's kind of discouraging. But then you look at it, we've been so bad this season. We're 3-2 in our last 5 matches in the Liga. We're 3-2. It doesn't seem that way because we've had all these other fucking matches in the middle. Right, these Taça games, these Taça Chourices, all the shit that we're playing, right? And you kind of lose track of where you're at in the league. We're 3-2 in the league so far. We're 2 points behind, Sporting. As bad as we are, we're still right there. We're still there. Sporting's always the Christmas champions. Side. They're always they're always that first half champ. Right, we'll give it to them, but it doesn't mean anything at the end. I think JJ this team needs to kind of. I want to say adapt his personality, but I don't know if JJ has the patience anymore. I don't see the JJ that if you're not playing well, you sit. I see a lot of comments in popping up here that a lot of people have a problem with it. If this was the first stint with Benfica, if someone's playing like that, he'd sat his ass down. It doesn't matter who's back there. It didn't matter who was there. Capdevia, Mario brought it up on our show. Capdevia sat his ass down. I don't care what you did. You know what I mean? I don't care what you won or who you won it with
World Cup
or
champion.
how good you were. You're a World Cup champion. I don't give a shit. You're not playing. You can sit down. You know what I mean? He doesn't do that. I don't understand that. Oh, did he lose? Did he lost his balls in Brazil or what?
He doesn't have the same options. And I want to just go back to Pedro's comment here. If Tarak plays well, he plays really well, right? And he's one of those guys that's, again, he gives you 100 or 0, right? And against Porto, he was okay in the first half. Second half, he went on like a 25-minute binge of just
Giving
bad
away
pass
balls.
after bad pass after bad pass. Today, I actually didn't think he looked bad. I thought he looked good. He came back and recovered the ball a couple times. Going forward, he was pushing the ball. But again, he had a couple moments in the final third where he made a bad decision. You know, he had a shot by himself where he put it over the net, which again, his finishing is terrible. He had a couple plays where he nutmegged someone in the second half, right? Did a great play, and then his decision making was terrible, right? Didn't play the ball through, and then slowed down the play. So I think Pedro's got a point here, and then he also says here, right? One thing JJ always had was a great bench, right? You look at our bench today, right? And I know that we're missing Gabriel and PZ and Gonçalo Ramos and a few other guys, right? But looking at our bench, right, we have Servi, Pedrinho, Ferro, Ferreira, Diogo Gonçalves, Elton Leite, Chiquinho, Samaris, Nuno Tavares. Right, looking at that lineup, like who is the guy that's going to come in and give you that spark, right? Like you're talking about, right? Who's that guy that you're going to put in and be like, this is the guy that if we need to is going to turn the game around, right? Even against Porto, our bench wasn't that great. But I'll open it up to another question that I heard or I saw somewhere on social media is this Jorge Jesus version 2.0 is very different than version 1.0, which surprises me because you would think that everything that he's done from when he left till when he's returned would have made him a different type of manager, more experienced, understand different elements of the game, scenarios. But he seems very, even his communication seems different. He seems very lax. Some of the things that he says today, he said after the game, I know that I'm not going to win the Champions League in Portugal, right? Like things like that, right? And communication was never his forte. But when you have a president who's saying we want to make it to the Champions League final in the next 4 years, and then you have a manager who comes out and says, I'm not going to win the Champions League in Portugal, right? So it's just like contradicting scenarios. So, Bill, I'll go to you. What is it, do you think, that's the speed bump or the hurdle for JJ in this return of his to Benfica? Is it the team? Does he look different to you? Are his tactic? It almost, and I hate to say it, but I almost feel like he's like sabotaging it enough to get wins, but also enough to say, listen, what I have is shit, right? So in January, this is what I need, right? I need you to go do this, this, and this. Until now, I'm going to show you that I'll get by with what I have. It's not great, but in order for me to do what you think I'm going to do, I need you to go and take this laundry list and come back with what I need in January.
Well, that was the thing at the beginning of the season. He handed the president his wish list of players, and apparently it looks like he didn't get everyone he wanted, I guess, because and the performances kind of show that we do need either a Trinco or a number 8. We need something else in the middle. I find it hard to believe he's sabotaging games, but he does seem different than his first time around. And I don't know if it's the beating he took at Sporting for those years he was there that just demoralized the guy, but he does seem different. For anyone
who watched him at Flamengo, he was a nut. He was just like he was at Benfica the first time around. He was passionate. Exactly. He was jumping around with the players, right? Like he was old JJ. And he comes back, and it's almost like he looks very timid and contained on the bench. He's not that, and I get it, right? He says that he learned a lot when he went to Saudi Arabia because they basically almost put him in a body bag because he got into a heated discussion on the bench with one of the other coaches. But I don't know. Just something seems different about him. And again, I don't want to go down the Oscars route of conspiracy theories, right? But
Don't do it.
I almost get the sense that he's like, okay, I'm just going to, keep trekking along with this garbage that you've given me because you didn't go and get the 2 or 3 players that I asked for. And when you get them, then I'll show you that we're going to turn this shit on and we're going to be flying.
Listen, if that's his play, then he's doing a brilliant job. Because I feel like he's going to get, if that's really his play, then he's a genius. Because I really do think he's going to get the players he wants at the window, or at least a player that's going to help him in the second half of the season.
I have a feeling that they come January there is one like big signing coming. I just have that feeling.
I'm one of those guys who think Benfica have the money to buy players. I am one of those guys, but we can't forget that Benfica has spent $100 million on the team you're looking at. $100 million on the team we're looking at now. How much money is in the bank for 2021? You know, or on the books, right? Because the way the books work, it's always the year before. So how much money is on the books? Did Vieira put on the books for 2020? Right. So how much money is left for this big signing? I just wonder.
You had the 125 million for Felix,
but he put that on the books that year, so it didn't count because Vieira's a smart guy. So he put him on the books that year, so it didn't count some way like a percentage the way he got taxed or some shit like that. The guy's a snake for sure. So I don't put it past him that he did. You know, he put that money on ice somewhere.
Hey, it's business, right?
For sure. I want a snake doing business. No doubt about it. I just don't want a snake running my football operations. But that's a different show, I'm sure. That's a different show. I just don't understand. I just wonder. I like I said, I asked myself how much money is left in that bank that you're gonna go out and make that big signing, and who is that big signing? You know, what is Jerson from Flamengo? Like that's the guy. You know that
Benfica in Portugal is like Real Madrid in Spain. Like if they need money, they're gonna get money. Like that's
for sure.
If they need to go out and go to a bank and get a little loan, they're gonna get it.
Took a loan to buy.
Yeah.
Who was it? To make an offer for Cavani, right? Yeah. Or who did he took a loan to pay for somebody that was it Pedro? He did something. He took a loan. We have the money, but he took a loan on the money. Right. So when he pays the money back, it's the Benfica's credit score goes up or some shit like that. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know who's coming. You know, who is that guy? Yeah. You know, it's not about the pay. You could pay, but it's the check. You know, you look at the Jesus.
What do you guys think of William? That's a lot of rumors about him.
I would take him in a heartbeat.
How old is he now?
But he can only play in a Portugal jersey. He can't play in a Benfica jersey. He has to be the only one in a Portugal jersey. That's it, because that's the only time I could root for that guy. Because he's a hell of a player, man. He's a hell of a player.
Before we jump off this game, let's go through who you thought was the player of the match, play of the match, decision of the match. Mello, I'll start with you.
The player of the match was Rafa. I mean, I know later on in the game, Rafa gives up a lot of balls. He gives up a lot of turns over the ball a lot. And it's funny, the way he turns it over is straight ahead. Like the way he turns the ball over, it's not him moving side to side or him fucking waving his arms, trying to, confuse the defender. He just runs straight through the guy. Like, the ball's going to magically appear on the other side of the defender. I don't understand it. But when he does get through, he's a dangerous player. And he created, I guess, the play of the match for me was that first goal. He created that, and he wasn't selfish with the ball. He gave it up when he was supposed to give it up, and he gave Darwin at what I thought the 13th minute was some confidence. I'm like, okay, you got a goal already, kid. Now you just let the leg go. You know what I mean? Work that thigh muscle for the rest of the game, bro. Just work the thigh the whole game. But he didn't. He didn't do that. So I don't know. But my decision of the match as well is that pass from Rafa, because Rafa, you guys, Luis brought it up on our last show. He reminds me kind of sometimes of Salvio. Remember, we would watch Salvio and we'd say, pass the ball, and he doesn't pass the ball and he shoots the ball over it. That's kind of what we're getting right now with Rafa. It's like, fucking pass the ball, man. Pass the ball. And when you do, good things happen. So he gets the assist and a goal early in the game. That's why he's my player of the match, no doubt.
Fair. Kenny?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rafa's player of the match. I'll just add, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, if he could just thread that final ball, he'd get an assist every game. Literally, he every time he touches the ball, it's almost like we have a chance at scoring a goal. He takes off from the midfield, gets at the final third, and he just, like, I don't know, like you said, he just wants to keep going forward. If he could just get that through ball, find that through ball to Darwin, to Waldo, to someone else, it's a half goal. There's no one. Everyone is just closing in on him, and he doesn't find the pass. Literally leaves all the forwards open. They close in on him, and he just can't get that pass out. It's frustrating to see. I mean, it happened multiple times. And then just, honorable mentions. I think Feigl and Gilberto had great games. Gilberto, honestly, he's really starting to really impress me defensively. Going forward, still has a lot to work on, but defensively, he's getting stuck in on a lot of tackles. There was, towards the end of the game, Portimonense was like just throwing balls in. He like threw his body at one of the crosses to stop it from going in, because who knows what could have happened. They probably could have tied the game. So I'm liking the effort and the intensity that Gilles bringing to the table.
Yeah, he had a couple of plays one-on-one on the right-hand side that he picked the player's pocket, which I was surprised. And when he did it, I was like, shit, okay, Gilberto, like, you're starting to come around, okay?
Yeah.
But before I go to Bill, Alex, I know you're not very high on Ender Almeida. When they're both fit, do you
I
welcome back Ender Almeida? Oh, you miss him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do.
Did you think you would ever say that?
No. And you know why? I think it's because, I hate to say it, but I think Andre Almeida is one of those leaders that we're kind of missing. One of those guys where just like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, I know I'm not playing good, but y'all are better than me. You know what I mean? So y'all got to play better than me. So we don't got that guy. But sometimes I do miss Andre Almeida because, I don't know, he's been there fucking since I was 4. So it's like, it feels that way. It feels like he's been there for 30 fucking years. So it's like, I kind of miss the guy. You hate to see a player like that go down, but I never wanted to see him do that. I just wanted to see him go sign with someone else. I didn't want to see him get hurt. I just didn't want him to play for us anymore.
He's one of those players. When he's there, you really don't notice him. He's just one of those regulars. But when he's
not a
there,
flashy player.
He's
not a flashy player.
Yeah,
he just does his job, gets in,
gets
out.
He's like a landlord.
Yeah.
He is. He's like the landlord. You call him to come fix something. He takes a while, but he comes down. He fixes the pipes. But that's Andre to me.
Play the game, or player of the game.
For me, the player of the game, I thought Feigl played very well today. He doesn't. I mean, he was playing that Trinco role, so he's not going to show up on the stat sheet with a goal or an assist, but I thought his positioning, his decision-making was phenomenal today. Rafa played well, but I thought it was just in that 30-minute span where the entire team played well, and then he just completely dropped off. For me, Feigl was the kind of the glue in the middle that kept everything together for the 90 minutes. Play of the game, I would agree that first goal, just the ball movement, the one touches just to get in, and Rafa not being greedy and actually just laying it off.
And he almost lost it in his feet.
If he shoots there, I don't know if Rafa scores.
I thought he was going to shoot too.
Rafa shooting is not the greatest thing. So
left-footed,
the fact that he passed it was a good thing.
He would have got hurt if he shot that.
Yeah,
I agree. I think Feigl for me he gets a lot of stick. He's been criticized. I feel like he's had a target on his back since he came in January. A lot of things have been said about him. I think fully fit, I think hands down he's the best midfielder we have in the middle of the park. Coming out of the back, he doesn't play those long balls like Gabriel. He doesn't play that risky pass like Tarat, but his passes out of the back are certain. His pass percentage, I saw something this evening after the game. His last 14 appearances with Benfica, his pass percentage is 94% or above 90%. That is incredible, right? When you compare it to the likes of Gabriel, right? And those guys are taking more risky passes, right? But for a guy that's helping us construct so deep in our half, that first pass is the most important, right? Mm-hmm. Because you got guys like Tarat coming out, the team's moving up in transition. You got Nuno Tavares, you got Gilberto, you got Grimaldo up the wings. That first pass out of the back is bad. Now you got two center backs with one holding midfielder trying to fight off this fast transition that the other team's trying to do.
I think so. To go off of that, I think it was the Gil Vicente game. I saw a stat. He had one pass in that game that wasn't completed. I want to say it was like 120 something completed passes out of 121 attempts or something like that. I mean, that goes to show like he's not going to take the risk. He's going to play it simple. He's going to keep the ball. And if he is playing that long ball, it's going to get there.
Yeah.
It also goes to show you how much he needs a partner there in the middle because, you know, his first pass is to his outlet. And if you got a guy like Taarabt, who I think I see a lot of, I don't know if I'll call it hate, but a lot of criticism on Taarabt here in the comments. And I get it. I think Taarabt, though, he's put in a position. He's not a center mid. He doesn't play the center mid. All right. He's playing out of position. He's playing in a position that Bruno Lage put him in, and he played great under Bruno Lage. Played great in that system. But Weigl, they don't complement each other in no way whatsoever. Because that first pass, Weigl goes to his outlet, which is Taarabt normally, and Taarabt is his type of passing isn't meant for 40 yards back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's not meant to be. He's not meant to make passes on our side of the pitch. And that's kind of what Taarabt is doing. He's making passes so deep into the middle in the middle of the field that they're not really connecting. Because his strikers are so far ahead, you know what I mean. So he's creating turnovers. So I get it. I think that Taarabt would be a lot better coming off the bench because he's that guy who can play with when you've been running around for 60 minutes and then you bring a guy like Taarabt in who's he's gonna roll the ball every fucking which way. He's like I call him the drunken master. When he's got the ball, he's just fucking drunk as fuck. But he shake the shit out of you. He shake you out your boots. I think that's where he's better served, coming off the bench. And if we could get a guy in January who can pair up with Weigl, I don't know now if you're bringing a defensive mid though now because like now you're slowing. I don't know what. Man, there's a lot of. We'll talk about 2020, what's coming up, but there's a lot of questions because now you put somebody defensive next to Weigl who's not going to go forward. Now you have two defensive midfielders who don't make many passes. Now you expect Wally and Darwin to come up and get the ball. I don't know. He's just going to have to play. I mean, maybe Peasy plays instead of Wally today. You know what I mean? In that spot, but somebody has to come pick up the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Looking back in 2020, the year as a whole, not just the season, Benfica's played 48 games, 28 wins, 10 draws, 10 defeats, 58.3 win percentage, which is shocking for a team like Benfica. That's a 50-point loss between the draws and the defeats. Bill, I'll start with you. I know we talked about it off air. Started the year well. We won, I believe it was 3 games in a row. We beat Guimarães on the 4th of January. We beat Aves. We beat Rio Ave. We went to Sporting and won 2-0. That game that Rafa came in and scored. We beat Passo Ferreira. We beat Belenenses. We beat Famalicão. And then we go to the Dragão, up 7. Chance to make it 10. We lose.
And the wheels fall off.
They make it 4, and then the bus just fell apart from there. I guess how would you describe 2020 as a whole? The end of this or the second half of last season, going into this season, and up until today. If somebody asked you, how would you explain Benfica's last 12 months? How would you put it?
Frustrating, plain and simple. Frustrating because, like you said, we come into the year with a 7-point lead in the league. Start the year in January, win every game in January. February starts off well, and then that Porto game, we lose, and then things from there just snowball. We tie, we lose against Braga right after it, and then we tie against Moreirense, tie against Vitória de Setúbal, and then the league stops for COVID. And then when we came back, it's just tie after tie after tie after tie, and that was it. Those 2 ties before that lost to Braga, and then the tie before COVID, before the COVID pause, that started the drop, and then it just went. It was just a cliff from that point. It was just straight downhill. Lost the league. Lost the Taça Portugal final, Lost the
Do
Super
we have
Taça
to
this
go
year.
through all this shit for real? Like, do we have to do it?
We got knocked out of the Champions League twice. We got knocked out of Europa League.
I'm sitting here like, fuck, bro.
I had to go back and look it up because it felt
What
like so
was-
long ago. It
what
felt like
was
so long
your-
ago. I
I'm
looked it
gonna
up
go
and it
cry,
just
bro.
I was so it was
In
so
the
demoralizing.
In the calendar year, as we turn the page to a new year, what would you say over the course of the last 12 months was the one thing that stood out to you that was the most frustrating as a fan and the most exciting or proud as a fan?
The most frustrating, I think, would have to be the performance of the team at the second half of last year, because the way they played for Bruno Lage the second half of the season the year before, and the way we started the season, you went into January thinking, all right, we're going to cruise through and win another league, Taça Portugal maybe, but that was, for me, that was the most frustrating. It was blowing that 7-point lead at one point. Could have been 10 if we beat Porto. Blowing that, and the performances after that with Lage, that was demoralizing. That was, as Oscar said, it was depressing. It was so bad.
Favorite moment? If you have
Favorite
one.
moment. Bruno Lage getting sacked.
Ooh,
I mean,
okay. Damn.
I like the story. Like, BT manager gets promoted, takes the reins, win the league. Like, it sounds nice. I was never a huge fan of his, but I mean, those performances the second half of the season, clearly he lost the locker room, and that's on the players as well. But as a manager, it's your job to kind of keep the locker room under control. And the second you lose the locker room and the players aren't performing for you, you're done. Like, it's very, very hard for a manager to lose the locker room, lose the players, and get the players back under control in a season.
Well, I think and just to touch on Mario's making comments here, Mario from the same podcast as Mello here, Benfica After 90. We've talked about it in the past, but I think it comes from higher up, right? There's that mindset, that mentality, keeping things together. We talked about it last week. Sérgio Conceição lost to Braga in the Taça da Liga last year. Came out publicly in the flash interview and put his spot up for grabs. Said, I'm done. Somebody wants it, come take it. They went into a room, sat down with the president. They came out. They didn't look happy they didn't look the most happy when they came out and walked to the bus. But he rallied that team and got them back, right? It's not easy to do that, especially at a big club. So while Bruno Lage lost the dressing room, it's easier to get rid of one guy than it is to get rid of an entire team. I'm starting to believe more and more that this is starting higher up and it's trickling down, and there's a lot more people at fault than just the guy that we see week in and week out sitting on the bench.
I actually just thought of another favorite moment, and it's recent. Luizão after the Porto game. I fucking loved it. I know I've seen comments about Jorge Jesus didn't like it. Rui Costa didn't like it. I love Rui Costa. He can fuck off. I love it.
Whoa, dude.
Hey,
Don't say that about him.
Absolutely loved it.
Do not say those words and his name in the same sentence ever again.
And what pisses me off, it wasn't a current player that did it. That right there should have been someone on the team pulling everyone together and doing that. The fact that he had to do it is a little concerning, but the fact that he did it is why why I believe he should be on the coaching staff and he should be on the bench sitting there. I know he was there for that game because was it Thiago Pinto, I think,
he was there at home with too. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a regular on the bench with Thiago Pinto gone. I
love the fact that he pulled the team aside and kind of tore into him, because that performance against Porto was pretty bad. And you didn't see any leadership kind of come up throughout that game of anyone trying to kind of rally the troops and just kind of fight for the team. and the fact that he took the team aside and did it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Kenny, sum me up 2020.
I mean,
Good
Bill
thing
pretty
Oscar's
much-
not here for this one. He'd be talking for 15 minutes about this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, Bill pretty much pointed everything out. I mean, what can I say? We've kind of really even before the pandemic, everything was kind of already going to shit. But since the pandemic, we just never recovered. Kind of like the rest of the world, we just haven't recovered from this, and it's frustrating. You know, we had a 5-6 game winning streak, and we're winning games. I mean, let's say it how it is. We're 2 points out of first place. We've maintained. We've stayed. You know, we've kept our head above water. We just don't look good doing it. It sucks to see. We're not. I don't like seeing that. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about 2020.
Standout positive moment for you. Decision, moment, goal.
From
If you had to latch
2020,
on to one thing in 2020, what would it be?
President Biden getting elected as getting Trump out of office. No, I don't know. I mean, it was. I'll say the Benfica elections were a big.
There you go.
I think a good positive. You know, I think
A positive.
Oh, here we go.
Well,
I was
listen,
waiting for it to come up because
despite-
I know Mello's opinion.
so I'll say this: despite who you wanted in office, I think the elections ran pretty well. I think they were one of the biggest showings out of the Sawstews turnouts.
The biggest turnout.
The biggest
And
turnout. So
I think that right there in itself is a positive for the club. The fact that many people in a pandemic actually went out and voted or voted online, I think that's you kind of take that as a positive.
Which makes you think, though, like you think that many more people came out just to say we're gonna keep Vieira in. Like I don't think it works that way. But I'll let you finish, man, and I'll wait for my review.
Yeah, so I would say that.
All right, Mello. Let's hear it.
Yeah,
Lay it on the line. No, you're waiting.
Yeah, let's just touch on that. If something stood out in 2020, right, you'd have to touch the elections, and I want to say it's not the best moment for me, but it's the most memorable moment because that was the moment where I feel like I realized that the majority of this fan base is okay with keeping their head above water, that, like you mentioned, and that's not a bad thing. It's okay for Benfica just to maintain, right? Because you're not going to Benfica will never not be the biggest club in Portugal. They'll always be the biggest club. They'll always have the most championships. That's fine, but I think the same old same is a little disappointing. I thought that it was time for a change. It's time for a change, a new regime, a different look forward. I think the embarrassment that Benfica has been through, not only last year, giving up the 7.
Oh,
we lost Mello.
Yeah, he froze there.
It was Vieira cut his feed.
Oh no, he's frozen.
Yeah, he froze up. I do want to touch on that though, like when he gets back, because I just wanted to say something.
Okay. We're gonna have to wait for Mello to come back. Take him off the screen until he comes back. Just to touch on this question here from SLBES on YouTube. Do you guys think shows that is missing from the team? I know he was a guy that was present a lot on the bench in the locker room. Oh, all right, we got him back.
See, they're already trying to cut me off. Vieira was
Right.
Now. No, but like I was saying, man, I don't want to be long-winded on it, but I think, not having a change, like at the same old saying, keeping your head above water, it's funny to me too when you watch a Europa League game and the announcers talk about Benfica like, we're, like this is the fucking 60s still. Like the storied club, this storied franchise, if you will. I mean, to be honest, man, we're talking about the lack of leadership and look at all three coaches. We got JJ with Bruno Lage and Rui Vitória, and tell me the difference between any of those teams. The style of play, the mentality. Tell me the difference. I don't see the difference. I see a first half team comes out in the second half and gives it up. I see a team who's not motivated, who quits on coaches, who gets coaches fired. You have players who quit on coaches in the middle of the season, and not only embarrassing for the manager himself, but embarrassing for fans. You go, like you said last year, to Porto, you lose that game like you always do, like you fucking always do, right? And then Benfica fans have a chance to kind of like change shit up. Like, you know what? This isn't working. This global, this what we think we are. Benfica fans think we're the biggest thing since sliced bread, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it, but that's really not the case in the last umpteen years. We haven't done anything to earn that moniker anymore. Right? We're lackadaisical, and last year is a perfect point of shit to just. I can't remember a season that fell off the rails, a 7-point lead. And then if you really think about it, it's really 14 points the way you gave it up, because you were already 7 points up and then you lost the league by 7 points. Is that right?
Yep.
Something, yeah.
So it's a 14-point swing, right? And Benfica fans were like, yeah, we'll give it another 4. We'll give it 4 more years, and if it doesn't work, then maybe we'll change it up, right? But in 4 years, he said he's going to give it up, so he's going to go out on his high horse. He's going to go out thinking that how he left Benfica, I mean, how he got it and how he left it, I guess, is going to be, I haven't given him credit for how he came, right? It's in shambles.
His legacy is set in stone already. Like the fact that
I do too. I agree.
Benfica from where they were almost bankrupt to where we are now, I think is his legacy. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's more commercial, right? It's more commercials. It's more, you see players in Mio commercials and car commercials and things like that. It's
2020.
It's not wins. I get it, but it doesn't result in championships, man. We haven't. That's my thing. When are we going to get a guy who this isn't good? Being the biggest in Portugal just isn't good enough. I want to be the biggest in the world. I might not believe it. I might not believe that in my heart of hearts. Are we going to be bigger than Barcelona, Real Madrid? No, but maybe for that one season. Maybe for that one season where we fucking snuck into the Champions League and we pulled the Ajax and we stunned the fucking world that we were the biggest club in the whole world that year. Doesn't matter what badge it is. Benfica is the biggest club. I just, if it happens for them, how come it hasn't happened for us?
Alex, let me ask you this though, with the elections though. Do you think because of what happened in 2020 with the pandemic and everything, that it would have been, for me personally, I thought bringing in someone new with this going on wasn't the best idea, right? Keeping the status quo to get us through this pandemic. Look, I don't know what, not having fans in the stadium is going to do to Benfica. I don't know how much longer this is going to go. I think leaving the regime that's in there to get us through this time. I know it's going to be 4 years or whatever, but just for this immediate future, keeping that regime in there was safer than bringing in a new body, putting in a ton of new people that I don't know how much experience they have to get us through these troubled times. I don't know. It just seemed a little risky for me. I think a lot of fans felt that way.
I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I completely agree with you. But Benfica, we've been playing it safe for a long time. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we played it safe, too safe, and now we're just like head above water. Mm-hmm. I just want to see a team fight, and the guy doesn't even talk. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't even, and when he does talk, he's always on the defensive. He's always like, it's just. He never wears a fucking tie. It bothers me. It's like it's why do you come to the interviews this way? I don't understand. But I do in the comments I see he does deserve a lot of respect, but he also deserves, honest to God, he doesn't deserve to be the president right now. If I had to be honest right now with what's been going on in the last 3 seasons, he doesn't deserve. He might deserve my respect, my admiration, and thank you. I appreciate it. You can go ride on your high horse and live in infamy, and you'll always be great to us. But football is just, it's not, I don't know, man. I want more. I think that's just all it is, bro. That's just really all it is. I want more, and he's content with keeping it the way it is. JJ is just the way it is. That's just, it's a retread, man. Tell me how many times retreads work across all sports. We all watch different sports, right? Or I watch different football fan. Right? How many times does it work when the head coach comes back to that team? Never fucking works.
No,
I got to live with it twice because I'm a Raiders fan. So I got Groot and JJ. Oh my god, I got to deal with these old bastards.
Kenny's a Cowboys fan, so
Golly.
well, that's a different story. That's a different story.
But to touch on the comments, right? People are saying, you know, what Luis Fifier has done for the club, and I believe we're all old enough to have lived the years of the mid to late '90s, right? Where Artur Jorge came in. I know we were a little bit younger on that side, but you know, we all remember Artur Jorge coming in, dismantling a team that had just won the title, getting rid of a coach that had just won the title, bringing in Artur Jorge, Manuel Damasio. It completely falls apart. Valias Vidu comes in, plays us for fools, completely destroys the club. Manuel Vilarinho comes in, helps, you know, resuscitate where we were to get us to a better position. Luis Fifier is part of that crew. João Aranha Lopes was part of that crew as well. Yes, where we were and where we are today is, you know, amazing and deserves all the plaudits, deserves all the respect. But the thing that I always like to say is we can't hold on to past positive experiences to move forward with them, right? Like what he did in the past is great and it's amazing, and thankfully he was there to help us get out of that phase, right? But because of the things that happened 10, 12, 14 years ago, we can't say, okay, because he did that, we need to continue because we owe him some gratitude, right? Like this isn't right. Like you're president of arguably the largest corporation in Portugal, realistically, right? And the club itself doesn't owe you any gratitude, right? Because you're put in that position to do good things, right? So while we can be appreciative and thankful, right, the club doesn't owe you anything, realistically, right? So I'm one of those people, and I know a lot of people are saying, like, you know, he helped us and we had bad years, and I get that. But
Basel
because
5-0, bro.
Yeah. Exactly.
We lost to Basel 5-0 and didn't get a fucking point. Didn't get a fucking point in that Champions League group. Not a point. Not a point. At that point, like any other club would have. I think in my heart of hearts, any other club by now there would have been a change somewhere. There would have been a change somewhere up there. And he brought up Rui Costa, and you said don't say anything bad about him. And I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but man, he's sometimes he's really hard to root for lately, bro. He just sits there with his mask on. He doesn't say anything.
Well, you can't see if he's saying anything. You can't see his mouth.
But I know Louisan's saying something. I know he's fucking saying
Louisan for president 2024.
If Louisan wasn't saying anything and he was just fucking going crazy, then we need to get him some help. But Rui Costa, I think
he's one of the suits now. He's corporate.
Yeah. He's almost not a suit. I'd call him a stooge almost. and I don't mean that in a bad. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I got a Rui Costa autograph jersey hanging up. All right, in my room. Okay, so I love the guy with all my heart. I really do. But he's a stooge, bro. He's down there to keep it politically correct. To keep it, you know, it's not his fault. He's there the blocker. It's not his fault. Whatever happens here, it's not his fault. You leave him alone. How dare you? You know, that's how it feels to me. You know, don't say anything about him. It's these guys that you need to worry about. I just think, like you said, going back on my 2020, that's what stood out for me. 2020 elections, Benfica elections, right? And then the 7 points, that doesn't stand out for me. I kind of actually bury that. I kind of, you know, deep inside, I don't really think about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah, I don't think of it. It's not a lasting memory of mine. I don't think, hey, I'll never say to my grandkids, hey, I remember in, 2019 when Benfica gave up 7 points. God, what a year. I'll never say that. I'll never say that.
Fair enough. And then to close off, what's on our wish list for 2021? I'll go the other way around. Alex, I'll start with you. What would you like to see from this team, from the squad, from the president, from the manager? What would you say is a top thing that you want to see going into next year?
I want to see a power move. Bill said it earlier. Big signing coming in January. I want to see a power move, and I don't mean just an addition. I want to see a subtraction. I think I think that's the way you send a message. I know this is going to sound crazy, whether it's Peasy or whether it's Tarapt or whether it's even a Rafa, I don't know. You know what I mean? But send a message that nobody's job is safe here. You know what I mean? If you're not playing, if you're not up to snuff, you got to go, and we'll ship you out fast. You get shipped out real quick, and then bring a player in, the guy on his wish list. That's my wish on my wish list. Bring somebody in on JJ's wish list so we can start playing some fucking football here. Because if that's what it's going to take, then get the guy his player. Go get Jerson or whoever the hell he wants from Brazil. Go get Gabigol, because I have a funny feeling. That he wants that guy. Yeah. Like I just he's got this bromance with Gabigol. And
the only guys I want from Flamengo are Bruno Henrique, Arão, or Gerson. I don't want Gabigol anywhere near this team. He was there once.
He sucked. That's right. The first time.
Remember you said no retreading. Retreading normally isn't
good, right?
He
was here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kenny, what's your wish list for 2021? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Alex said, I think just going back to the Jesus conversation, I think he's lost a bit of that intensity, that fire, and I think he's bitter. Even though he got some players, right? I don't think he got the players he wanted. I don't think a lot of those signings were his signings. I think they were already in the works. So listen, I think bring in someone that Jesus actually wanted. Then he's got no excuses. Then I'll be with Oscar and let's blame Jesus. Let's that. Then I'll agree with that conversation. Till that point, I will say Jesus he's doing what he's supposed to do, which is win games. At the end of the day, he's still winning games. He's got us in second place. He has us where we're in mostly every competition. So he's there. There's no doubt about it. But bring in someone that he wants, so there's no excuses. And the other thing I would ask is hopefully we can see some fans in the stands in 2021, because I think again Jesus is one of those coaches that feeds off of that. I know I've brought that up a few times in this conversation, but he is one of those coaches that feeds off the fan base, and I think that has a lot to do with why he's kind of lax in the manager's box there, and he's not as fired up as we were used to seeing him in past years. So hopefully seeing some fans in the stadium will brighten this team up a little bit.
Bill?
Yeah, I would agree with Kenny, and it's not just for Benfica, but fans in the stadium would be a sign, obviously, of the pandemic being over, and that's always a good sign. So hopefully that comes in 2021. But for the team, I would love to see, like Alex said, is a power move. Like either go out and get someone, or get rid of someone, and I keep going back to the rumors toward the end of last year, where Feigl came in and it was Rafa and Peasy and I forget who else kind of were breaking. Yeah, and we're kind of breaking up the locker room. Is there some truth to that? Like, there's been inklings of it this year where I've kind of questioned it. Like, maybe there is truth to it, and there might be. So if JJ has the power and he thinks that there is some kind of locker room divide, and those three players are mixed in, I mean, sending one out is a quick way to send your message to say that I'm not going to put up with this shit. Like, you're playing for the team, it's not about you. So a move like that might kind of shake things up. But at the end of the day, I want the title. We win the league. I don't care if we play like shit. As long as we win the league, I'll celebrate the same. We play great. We play like shit. I celebrate a win. I don't give a fuck.
Fair enough. Before we jump off, I guess I just have one statement to make. I think you guys talk about a power move. I know that I talked about it after, I want to say it was the Stade de Liège game at home, maybe. I feel like there's something there with Gabriel, and I would not be surprised if the power move is Gabi getting sold in January. I just have this weird feeling that there's something brewing between them. JJ doesn't like him, and I just have a feeling that he's going to end up pulling the plug on him.
Is he hurt? It's out.
He's hurt. They said he got hurt in training the day after the Gil Vicente game.
Yeah, because he hasn't been in the lineup for a while now.
And they said he's not back till after the new year. So I don't know. I just have this inkling feeling that he's one of those guys that's got the target on his back and he's going to be shipped out. Which I like him as a player, but if we get rid of him to bring someone else in that's going to help solidify that midfield, I guess I won't be too upset by it.
I mean, they got to get rid of someone in the midfield to bring someone.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's what I meant too.
If they bring someone in, they definitely have to get rid of someone. There's too many. There'll be too many players for those two spots.
Yeah, I agree. Before we jump off, next game is Sunday, I believe, against Santa Clara. Santa Clara, who is fifth, I want to say in the standings, seventh. 4 wins, one tie, 6 losses. They've won 1 of their last 5, which was against Nacional away. They're normally not an easy opponent away from home. In normal circumstances, this is another one of those away/home games. There's a lot of Benfica fans on the islands, as you guys know. No fans, right? Makes it a different environment. Predictions for that game. Bill, I'll start with you.
I mean, it also depends on who we get back from the COVID list, and who might end up on the COVID list now, because it seems like every day there's
I don't know if you guys saw the press conference after the fact, but JJ was coughing in the flash interview. I feel like he's the next one on the fucking COVID list.
Wow.
He legit was coughing up a storm. I was like, oh, God, this dude's got COVID. Oh, shit.
I'd say 2-1 just because we'll concede a stupid goal because that's 2020. Or at that point,
be 2021.
Yeah, it was 2021. I'm sure
it doesn't matter.
Shit. It's the same back line, so we'll concede a stupid goal. And I think going forward, we can at least get 2. So I'll say 2-1.
Okay, Kenny.
Yeah, just to be different from Bill, I'll just say 3-1.
Alex?
I'm gonna say Benfica win. We keep a clean sheet against Santa Clara. I'm gonna go that way since we're giving up the 1.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I'm gonna go 2-0 Benfica.
All right.
That was mine as well. I think 2-0. I think it'll be another one of those Gil Vicente games where it's not pretty, but we get the job done. I mean, it's a new year, so maybe they'll come flying out with some 2020 spirits and be ready to go. Before we sign off, I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, Exotic Dream Rental, our sponsor. Check them out on Facebook. Let them know we sent you. You can book directly on their Facebook page. Let them know we sent you. You'll save $10 a day on your rental. So again, Exotic Dream Rental. Check them out on Facebook. Tell Patrick we sent you. Boys, any final thoughts before we jump out? And before anything else, I guess, wanted to wish you guys Happy New Year. Hopefully it's a good one. I know different circumstances. I don't know what it's like in California right now, but here it's pretty locked down. We're not doing much. I don't know if you guys are as restricted as we are here. Shout out to the people in the chat. There was a lot of comments, a lot of good comments, a lot of good conversation. Some new faces. Gary, Mario was in there. SLBEES, a couple of new ones. I know those guys or girls are part of the chat in the Benfica After 90 as well. So good to see some new names in there.
Yeah.
And again, Alex is part of the Benfica After 90, so check them out on YouTube, their Twitter account as well. Group of good guys, good conversations, so check them out as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And then we're all on Twitter as well. We all have our Bill and I, Alex, that's his Twitter handle.
Yep,
I
that's
believe.
Twitter handle right there.
Kenny's is KDefont
4.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So check us out on Twitter as well. Happy New Year's to everyone. Boys, any final thoughts before we jump away?
Yeah, Happy New Year's, everybody. Alex, thanks for joining the conversation today. Appreciate
Yeah,
your,
man. I appreciate it, man. Had a great time on the show. Thanks for getting me on. Finally had a time, man. He asked me, man. It's always West Coast time. West Coast time is a little different. You know what I mean? I'm living in the past a little bit compared to you guys. So I really appreciate it. Happy New Year to all you guys. And last words, just man. Keep going. Keeping on. Really, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
3 points is 3 points, and we'll figure this shit out. You know what I mean? There's no way we're letting them motherfuckers win this league. There's no way. I'm telling you right now.
I like it.
I hope so.
And he's talking about Porto, not Sporting, because Sporting will just.
I'm talking about Braga. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Braga. These motherfuckers.
All right.
Fair enough. Hold on. We got one more comment here. Let's see. First time watching your pod chat. Great job, guys. Yep. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Again, hope to see you back in the chat next week. We'll be back next week to recap the Santa Clara game. Again, Alex, thanks for jumping on. I know we've been trying to schedule this for a while, but you're more than welcome whenever we can to get you on. I know the time difference makes it a little bit difficult. And until next week, again, Happy New Year. Stay safe, everyone. And thanks for watching. See you guys.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.